Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, we will present our paper titled The Cooperative Industries of the Poultry Farm Sector in Greece 2001-2020. Aim and the usefulness of the research purpose to highlight from the literature review the importance of agricultural cooperatives in local development, more broadly in a sustainable form of economic development. Two, from empirical research on the financial statements of poultry cooperatives to capture the return on asset, the gross profit ratio, and compare them with investor-owned firms in the sector. And three, to investigate the contribution of the factors, assets, long-term liabilities, and equity to sales. Usefulness, the results of the research strengthen the arguments for supporting agricultural cooperatives, while at the same time constituting a tool for intervention aimed at improving their financial position. Introduction. Cooperatives are collective entities formed voluntarily, seeking to promote economic, social, and cultural goals. Agricultural cooperatives operate based on the principles of the private economy within a regime of free competition. Historically, they have been a significant part of the social economy, contributing to economic development, generating income, and promoting the growth of economic activities. Literature review. They claim that Sanguino and Caro cooperatives are one of the most important forms of business activity in the agricultural sector, allowing smallholder farmers to access comparative advanced. Investments in cooperatives are considered a sustainable investment. Also, Dubai 2021, they have a significant contribution to supporting farmers during the economic crisis and in the transition to sustainability. Also, Sokea and Gulas, they increase farmers' income and productivity, provide bargaining power to farmers, control monopoly, and increase social welfare. Also, Diamato et al., based on data from a sample of Italian wineries 2009-2018, cooperatives are in equally cost-effective position than other organizations and perform better than corporation. Also, Hardestry and Salgia, no difference in financial performance were found between cooperatives and privately owned business in America. The comparison was made using data from financial statements for the period 1991-2002. Also, Parliament et al. Typical financial ratio analysis of regional dairy cooperatives with dairy enterprises. 1000, I'm sorry, 1976, 1987, USA, cooperatives performed significantly better than private enterprises with turnover profitability indicators. We are investigating the poultry sector where there are three cooperatives. Agricultural Cooperative of Poultry Feeders of Megara, Agrocin. Two, Pindos Agricultural Poultry Cooperative and the three Agricultural Poultry Cooperative of Arta. Methodology. In the context of financial analysis, the following are calculated: the raw indicator, the gross profit margin indicator, and are compared with indicators of investor-owned firms in the industry. We performed multiple regression analysis to investigate whether the factor, assets, long-term liabilities, and equity affect sales and to what extent. Hypothesis. Hypothesis 1. There is positive relationship between the level of assets and sales. Hypothesis 2. The increase in long-term liabilities contributes to the increase in sales. Hypothesis 3. The increase in equity is positively associated with the increase in sales. We also calculated the long variance of independent variables relative to the long of sales. Independent variables, assets, long-term liabilities, and equity. Results. In the slide 9, we see the results of the ROA index of the three cooperatives. Pindos Agricultural Poultry Cooperative shows positive rates of return on assets, comparing the available data of the ICAP GRIF study from 2010 to 2020 poultry sector study. The values of the ROA index significantly exceeded the average of industries in the sector. Agricultural Cooperative of Poultry of Megara has been showing an improvement in its ROA index since 2014, while since 2016 it has been achieving values will above the average corresponding index of investor-owned firms. Agricultural Poultry Cooperative of Arta showed an increase in sales and assets until 2011. From 2012 to 2020, a decrease of between 15% and 30%. In slide 11, we see the gross profit margin index. We notice that is positive for the three cooperative in particular. Gross profit margin ratio. Pindos Agricultural Poultry Cooperative moved at a level close to 10% to 12.5% in the period from 2018 to 2020. Agricultural Cooperative of Poultry of Megara showed improvement from 2013 onwards. Agricultural Poultry Cooperative of Arta showed an increase for the years 2007 to 2011, and then a decline which was due to the decrease in sales from 15% to 30%. Comparing with investor-owned firms in the sector ICAP study for the period 2013-2020, the Megara and Pindos cooperatives showed equally good or even better performance. In the continuation of our analysis we conduct a multiplication regression to measure the effect of assets of long-term liabilities and equity capital and equity on sales. The regression line equation was found to be statistically significant with a p-value of f is less than 0.01. The model fits the real data satisfactorily. The coefficient of determination risk-scored equal 0.9282 and adjusted risk-squared equal 0.9243. An increase in assets by 1 million will increase turnover by 1,076 million euros. Similarly, an increase in long-term liabilities will contribute to an increase in sales by 1,274 million euros. We then calculated the logarithm of the change in the independent variables relative to the logarithm of sales. The regression line equation was found to be statistically significant with a p-value of f is less than 0.01. The model fits the real data satisfactorily. Coefficient rho-squared equal 0.9679 and adjusted risk-scored equal 0.9657. A marginal increase of 1% in assets with the other two variables held constant will have an incremental impact of 1.5% on the sales of poultry cooperatives. Research conclusions: Pindos Agricultural Poultry Cooperative present ROA performance above the average of investor-owned firms in the sector for the period 2010-2020. Agricultural Cooperative of Poultry of Megara showed improvement since 2014 and has corresponding performance for the period 2016-2020. Agricultural Poultry Cooperative of Arta experienced a decrease in sales and profits. Gross profit margin index: it emerged that the Megaron and Pindos poultry cooperatives demonstrated equal or even better performance than investor-owned firms in the sector for the period 2013-2020. The effect of assets and long-term liabilities on sales growth was statistically significant. Research conclusions: the institution of agricultural cooperatives can guarantee the exploitation of the comparative advantage that the country has in the agricultural sector. The creation of cooperatives can be the springboard for increasing national production, extroversion, and reducing imports. Agricultural cooperatives can contribute to what we call development with social justice, which leads to increase in prosperity. Limitation and suggestions for future research. Limitation: the small number of cooperatives analyzed. The research could be expanded in the future to other sectors of agricultural cooperatives. Methodologically, other performance measures or indicators could be used. While it would be interesting to measure the economic impact of agricultural cooperatives on the national economy. Thank you for your attention. For your attention. Thank you for your attention.